Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us here on Montana This Morning. We are mixing it up this Monday. I'm Samantha Sullivan in for Victoria Hill this morning.
And I'm Connor. I'm here for Ed. Yeah, very generous station, giving us all the chance to get up bright and early and be with you here on this fine Monday morning. Now, speaking of that fine Monday morning, we have some slightly changing conditions. It's been very clear, very stable over the last little bit. We've seen some clouds build in here overnight. That's helped us really maintain some of those temperatures. Last week we were talking about single-digit mornings, and I was really cold getting up and getting here for the morning show. It wasn't so bad this morning. 36 out there right now as we get a look at that ICAM. That southwest wind, though, something that we're going to notice over the course of the forecast period here this week. Currently out there right now, warmer temperatures, through the central corridor of the state. Billings, one of the warm spots, along with Great Falls and Cutbank, already almost touching that 40-degree mark. That wind, again, something we're noticing, dropping those feels like temperatures down just a little bit. We lose about 10 degrees here and some single digits up in the northeast. Again, wind going to be a factor over the next little bit. For today, jumping up to about the mid 40s. I've got us in for 44 here in Billings. Slightly cooler up in the northeast. A little bit more sunshine up there though as well. So bit of a trade-off for them there. Tonight is when we could see those conditions start to change. I've got the chance for flurries in, especially the western zones, especially at higher elevations, but perhaps coming as far east as Billings. Pretty quick moving system, not a chance to accumulate a lot of anything, but we could see a little bit of white stuff by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon's forecast up around that 40-degree mark again. So anything, if we do see any snow on the ground, it's not sticking around for long. Here's your day planner as you walk yourself out the door this morning. Pretty nice to start. A little breezy in the afternoon, and again preparing for just the slight chance of some weather shaking up there in the overnight hours with a little bit of snowfall perhaps.
All right, that doesn't sound too bad.
Not too bad. I think we can handle it.
All right, thanks so much, Connor. A top lawmaker is suggesting President Trump could end up in prison once he leaves the White House. This as Washington awaits the findings of Robert Mueller's special investigation. CBS's Mark Liverman explains.
President Trump could be indicted the day he leaves office. That's according to Democrat Adam Schiff, who appeared on CBS's Face the Nation yesterday.
He may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
Schiff, the likely incoming House Intelligence Chairman, was one of several lawmakers sounding off on the Sunday political talk shows. It was all in response to the latest in Robert Mueller's Russia investigation and Friday's sentencing memo of Mr. Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen. Federal prosecutors in New York's Southern District said Cohen paid off Trump's alleged mistresses, quote, to influence the 2016 presidential election in coordination with and at the direction of individual one, also known as President Trump. Republicans, though, are urging patience until the Mueller investigation is complete.
I would caution everyone just continue to wait until all this plays out, but it's important that this continue to move forward.
On Saturday, the president addressed the developments.
As far as the report that we see, according to everybody I've spoken to, I have not read it. There's absolutely no collusion, which is very important.
And in response to James Comey's closed-door testimony to lawmakers on Friday, the president tweeted, quote, "This whole deal is a rigged fraud headed up by dishonest people who would do anything so that I could not become president. They are now exposed." Mark Liverman, CBS News, New York.
Of course, on top of all that's going on with the investigation, on Saturday, President Trump announced he is changing his chief of staff. He said that General John Kelly will leave the White House by the end of the year. The president is expected to announce a replacement as soon as today. And in other parts of the country, a major pre-winter storm continues to pound the southeastern U.S. More than 1.5 feet of snow has already fallen in parts of the Carolinas and in Virginia. Some areas could get another 6 to 10 inches before the snow stops. At least one death is being blamed on this snowstorm. A man in North Carolina was killed when a tree fell on his car. A little closer to home over the weekend, one man died in a single vehicle crash near the airport. It happened just before 11 o'clock on Saturday night, west of the airport on Highway 3. Montana Highway Patrol tells us the man was driving a pickup truck north when the driver swerved off the right side of the road. The driver continued for several hundred feet before overcorrecting, causing the car to roll multiple times. The driver was transported to the hospital where he later died. Alcohol is a suspected factor in that crash. The man was also not wearing his seatbelt. In West Billings, there's a company that wants to start a new gravel pit. Tonight, Yellowstone County Zoning Commission will meet as part of a special review for the project. First Mark Materials plans to operate the project on land on the west end near Wise Lane and Story Road near Oscars Park. The plans call for the gravel mine to operate on about 116 acres. Right now, the land is only properly zoned for about half of that project. He says allowing the rest of the land to be used would keep the equipment further away from other businesses operating in the same area. They say when the project is finished in 12 to 15 years, First Mark will restore the land. The Zoning Commission meeting is set for 4 o'clock this evening on the first floor of the Miller Building on 3rd Avenue North. In other news, the nation has been celebrating the life of former United States President George H.W. Bush since his passing more than a week ago. And it was the hard work of trained servicemen that helped give the former president an honorable goodbye. MTN's Katie Miller spoke with 2 Montana Navy Guardsmen selected to participate in the funeral proceedings.
It's a surreal feeling. It's almost unreal. It's like coming from a small town. Hot Springs is tiny, so I never expected to be rendering honors for George Bush or a former president in general. And it's one of those things that it's hard to kind of accept all at once.
United States Navy seaman Anthony Burns carried the casket of former President George H.W. Bush on Thursday. He grew up in Hot Springs and is now a casket bearer in the Navy Ceremonial Guard.
It's been one heck of an experience, and it's definitely one of those things where it's like, I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life.
Burns was joined by 1 other Montanan for the state funeral. Seaman Kyle Wilson is from Sidney, Montana, and is also a casket bearer. The 2 perfected flag folding and funeral procession during an 8-week special training. They march in daily funerals at Arlington National Cemetery, and Wilson says it's an honor to march in a state funeral.
I was extremely nervous because, you've got video cameras on you, you've got, former President George W. Bush there as well, you've got citizens of America watching you, President Trump, you've got all these eyes on you.
Burns packed his bags and got to the airport a few hours after he got the call. He was up for 30 hours straight to make it to Houston on time.
But as soon as you step off and you start your, march and everything and you execute it with precision, from then on out, you get a sense of pride. Everything's boosted. You feel like you can accomplish anything.
The Ceremonial Guard is a special unit composed of only 230 people out of the 400,000 in the Navy. In Missoula, Katie Miller, MTN News.
Burns and Wilson expressed gratitude for all the support they've received and say they were honored to represent Montana. Finally, before we take a break this month for a waiting child, we spent some time with Colton, a 13-year-old kid in Hamilton who loves the Denver Broncos and basketball. MTN's Lauren Heiser has more.
Hi, I'm Colton. I like to play sports. I always want to play basketball because I think it's fun and it's interesting to play.
Colton is 13 years old and in 8th grade. The program director at Linda Mass Youth Home, Anna Green, said she has very much enjoyed getting to know him. She described him as a quirky kid who loves his friends, his sports, and the Denver Broncos.
Colton needs a group of people or a family or an individual that's active, that's willing to let him play sports, that's going to go support him in those sports. He played football, he's in basketball, he's going to be in wrestling, he was in taekwondo. He's an active kid, and actually I think activity is part of what's kept him going and feeling positive about his plan and where he's at in life. I think he also needs people that are patient and willing to learn, because I think that any kid that has lived in the foster care system a lot of times needs support in learning how to be parented.
Colton said he would love nothing more than to have siblings and a family that loves the outdoors. In Hamilton, Lauren Heiser, MTN News.
If you would like to learn more about Colton or if you have any questions about fostering, you can find a link on our website, ktvq.com. Well, stick with us here on Montana This Morning. Still ahead, Lane gives us a recap of this year's National Grazing Lands Conference in today's Ag News. Right now, it's 6:09. It's 34 degrees outside. We will be right back.
You're watching MTN News with Victoria Hill and Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh. This is Montana This Morning on Q2, Montana's news leader.